Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling, well, frankly, one of the most complex figures in American history, Richard Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources paint him as this brilliant strategist, capable of incredible political moves.
Absolutely. But also deeply consumed by control
Hmm.
and paranoia.
Exactly. It's a presidency that still sparks so much debate.
It really does. And for this deep dive, we pulled together quite a bit. There's a dramatic documentary narration that asks some very pointed questions.
Right.
Historical accounts from the White House Historical Association, and then insights from the Miller Center at UVA,
Yeah.
especially their work on those crucial White House tapes.
So our goal here is to really dig into this material, pull out the key insights for you. We want to trace his journey, which was unlike any other president's, really.
Yeah.
Look at the big achievements, but also at the shadows, explore that paranoia, and of course, get into Watergate and the tapes.
We're covering a lot of ground from these amazing comebacks.
What?
Diplomatic breakthroughs all the way to, well, enemies lists and the recordings that brought it all down.
Okay, so let's unpack that journey. His path to the presidency, definitely not typical.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he served in the Navy in World War II after Whittier and Duke Law. Married Patricia Ryan, had 2 daughters,
Trisha and Julie.
right? Climbed the ladder, fast Congress, Senate, Vice President under Eisenhower. But then things shifted.
Yeah, the setbacks. That incredibly narrow loss to JFK in 1960.
Uh-huh. One account we looked at mentions it was so close, he, privately questioned the result, the integrity of the vote.
And then just 2 years later, he loses the California governor race,
Yeah.
famously tells the press.
He won't have Nixon to kick around anymore.
Yeah. Seemed like he was finished. Politically written off.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And yet he makes this,
Yeah.
what one source calls an astonishing comeback. Wins in '68 against Humphrey and Wallace.
Which is where the material gets really interesting, asking how he did it. Was it just pure political skill, understanding that silent majority?
That group he felt was being ignored, yeah.
Or, and this is where one narrative really pushes, were there unseen alliances? Maybe even darker bargains made in the shadows.
The sources don't give one single answer, do they? But they definitely highlight how extraordinary that return was.
Shows incredible resilience, strategic thinking.
Definitely. And once he's in office, the country's divided war,
Yeah.
unrest. He promises to bring the American people together.
Yeah.
And he did deliver on some big policy items.
Vietnam obviously loomed large. He ran on peace with honor.
Mm-hmm. But the strategy described in our sources, it involved secret bombings of supply lines.
Right, expanding the war into neutral Cambodia and Laos, targeting the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
That critical supply route that's described as a prolonged, bloody withdrawal.
And the material shows different takes on this. Was it unnecessary evil, as one voice asks, to get out?
Or did it involve, untold atrocities, a cold calculation? Tough questions.
But the historical fact is, it did lead to that accord in January 73.
Which ended American involvement in Indochina, formally at least.
Then there's the opening to China, just seismic.
Oh, absolutely. A diplomatic masterstroke.
Yeah.
Totally reshaped the global balance of power.
Nixon, the ultimate anti-communist, goes to Beijing, meets Mao Zedong.
I mean, coming from him, it was stunning. And the material asks, okay, what were the true motivations?
Were there hidden concessions, secret channels?
Well, the sources don't detail specific secret deals, but they emphasize the strategy. Exploiting that Sino-Soviet split, right?
Yeah.
Gaining leverage.
Realpolitik, big time.
Yeah. And he also engaged the Soviets.
Mhm.
Summit meetings with Brezhnev.
Leading to the SALT Treaty, strategic arms limitation. Huge for managing nuclear weapons in the Cold War.
Definitely. And domestically, the sources tick off quite a list.
Ending the draft.
New anti-crime laws, creating the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency.
Appointing conservative justices, welcoming the Apollo 11 astronauts in '69.
So you have this record, right?
Yeah.
Significant achievements, some brilliant. But running alongside that, the sources show this deepening unease, a profound paranoia in the White House.
Yeah, the evidence mentioned includes things like compiling that enemies list,
Mm-hmm. Political foes.
the widespread use of wiretaps, not just opponents, but even his own people, right?
Yeah, and this deep distrust of the media, of political rivals, paints a picture of a president feeling, well, under siege.
And this is where it gets complex. Was the paranoia like a symptom of a deeper psychological struggle?
That's one perspective offered.
Or was it maybe a reaction to, genuine threats, things trying to undermine him that maybe weren't obvious?
It's hard to untangle. Miller Center research, especially using the tapes, does suggest this whole mindset, fed into the atmosphere that allowed Watergate, things like the Chennault affair.
Ah, right. That incident during the '68 campaign trying to delay Vietnam peace talks.
Exactly. Fears that could come out. It all feeds into this pressure cooker environment.
And that paranoia, that feeling of being besieged, it seems directly linked to June 17th, 1972.
The Watergate break-in. Democratic National Committee offices? Seemed minor at first, didn't it?
Yeah, a third-rate burglary, they called it. But as one source says, it spiraled, became the greatest political scandal.
And eventually traced back to Nixon campaign officials.
But the real key, the thing that blew it wide open, was the discovery of that vast recording system.
Hidden all through the White House, the tapes.
White House tapes. And once they started coming out...
Whoa. They unveiled a president obsessed with control, concealment, and obstruction. That's how the sources put it.
Crucially, they showed he had tried to divert the investigation.
Obstruct justice. Yeah.
But even with the tapes, the questions didn't stop, did they? Some sources still push on the true origins of the break-in itself.
Like, who really orchestrated it? And what other secrets might be buried in those recordings, those whispering tapes? Secrets maybe not even in the released portions.
And we should remember the political turmoil around that time. Before the final act of Watergate, Vice President Agnew resigned.
Right, in '73. Unrelated corruption charges from his time as Maryland governor.
Which led to Gerald Ford becoming vice president.
Setting the stage for what came next.
August 9th, 1974. Facing, as the sources say, certain impeachment.
And probable conviction in the Senate.
Richard Nixon resigns, the only U.S. president ever to do so.
Stating his reason was to start that process of healing so desperately needed in America.
And then his successor, Gerald Ford, makes that incredibly controversial move.
The pardon, granting Nixon a full pardon.
Which, as one source points out, spared him the ordeal of a criminal trial. Prison, possibly.
But it absolutely intensified the public's lingering questions about the full truth.
Yeah, were there unspoken deals? Behind closed doors? What were the real reasons for the cover-up that never came out?
Questions that linger. Nixon spent the rest of his life, decades really, trying to restore his reputation.
Well,
books, speeches.
And a legacy. Still so divided, isn't it?
Completely. For so many, it's forever etched in shadow by Watergate.
Yet that epitaph he chose from his first inaugural.
The greatest honor history can bestow is the title of peacemaker. It just captures that tension, that paradox perfectly.
So that's our deep dive. Richard Nixon. Brilliant, yeah. Secretive, definitely. A total paradox.
This presidency remains this, like, labyrinth. Ambition, paranoia, power. It's all in there.
And that sound, that silent hum of those infamous tapes, as one source puts it.
Still raises questions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you want to know what else was hidden.
It really leaves you with something to chew on, doesn't it? When you think about his incredible ambitions side by side with the enemies he saw everywhere, his undeniable paranoia, and then his own choice to record everything.
Yeah.
How did that specific mix ultimately bring him down? And maybe more importantly, what does that whole story tell you, even today, about power, about accountability, right at the very top?